Good evening. This is the Tuesday, July 28th, 2026 regular meeting of the Flemington Borough Planning Board. This in-person and virtual meeting is called pursuant to the updated provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Both adequate and electronic notice of this meeting and virtual meeting, this in-person and virtual meeting has been provided by way of publication in the Hunterdon County Democrat and Courier News newspapers beginning in January 2026. In addition, notice of the meeting was posted on the door of the Borough of Flemington Municipal Building located at 38 Park Avenue and in the handicap accessible entrances there too. Posted it on the municipal website as per the new LPMA requirements, provided to the municipal clerk and distributed to all persons if any requesting copies of same. This meeting is being recorded with both audio and video and may be rebroadcast. This meeting is a judicial proceeding. Any questions or comments must be limited to the issues that are relevant to what the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and decorum appropriate to a judicial hearing must be maintained at all times. Ask everyone please rise as you're able for the promise, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, call the roll, please.
Mayor Carroll, Mr. Campion,
Here.
Council Vice President Engelhardt, here, Mr. Dashna,
Here.
Ms. Giffen,
Here.
Mr. Schlanger,
Here.
Mr. Schob, Mr. Schob,
We see you, Dennis. We see you trying.
No, he's not muted.
If you can hear us, Dennis, wave a hand.
Nope.
okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Control with audio.
Ms. Swinkle,
Here.
Ms. Weitzman, here, Mr. Hain,
Here.
Mr. Eckel,
Here.
Mr. Pavers,
Here.
Engineer Ian Hill is here from Van Cleef. Planner Kyle.
Here.
And Engineer Troutman.
Here.
Thank you. Oh, and Attorney Wilhelm.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 1 on the agenda, as we always do, is a period for public comments for items not before the board. If any member of the public online or in person wishes to make a public comment, please raise your hand. Seeing none, item 2, mayor's comments.
Just one, quite a while ago, we talked about, doing an ordinance regarding, asking the council to do an ordinance regarding, not allowing, not permitting, data centers anywhere in the borough at all. And I can't remember if we had asked the council, if the council's planner was gonna do that, or if our planner was gonna do that, but I don't think anything's happening with that. And I just saw another thing on the news about these data centers and what the drain that they put on resources.
Yeah.
Especially water.
Yes.
Water. So I guess it's a legal question for our attorney. If we do an ordinance in town not allowing data centers in the borough of Flemington, can we actually do an ordinance saying that our water service area, we will not serve water to a data center? Because we serve part of our township.
That sounds like it would be discriminatory. The response, say we want to provide a municipal service to one property owner. So,
Go to the use.
yeah, you catch me a little bit off guard, but
I know.
and my initial reaction is, that's not, that doesn't sound good. I think that would open you up to the whole channel.
Jim, there's a. How are these regulated? Like, what do they fall under? Is it a permitted use anywhere in the borough anyway?
Right now, it's not for them.
Right.
Not,
It's not
we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
I think we have the standard clause that any use that is not permitted is prohibited. So, and data center is a very specific use, like you have a broad umbrella of industrial, which a data center might fall under. But, I mean, everybody nowadays knows a data center is a very specific thing, and that, We have in other communities just put a specific prohibition, and it's a simple, it can be a simple one-line ordinance, just adding. A prohibited use. If we wanted to do that.
You could also take the wait and see approach, because some towns have already just flat out banned them, making them a prohibited use. And I know they're starting to be challenged, and I'm sure that it'll go to the New Jersey Supreme Court, which will make a final decision on that. They're just starting to be challenged at the county level, so you could take a wait and see approach.
$300 million lawsuit against Washington Township and Gloucester County for a data center prohibition. $300 million was the suit.
There is, if I'm not mistaken, there is some, part of our ordinance that allows data processing centers. And there's a big difference between what what I think what the mayor is describing and that type of use in our ordinance. So perhaps, clarifying what that definition is would also be of help. And I know that these big mega data centers, frankly, there's not any in our town for them. But also the but I do know I do want to protect our resources, and that I do know there are these big mega data centers now. They're actually being they're not using the water the way the original ones are. They're basically recirculating them in. Also, it's not so much the water now, from what I understand, it's also the energy needed. Whereas some of these are going next to like an enormous nuclear power plant in the middle of Pennsylvania, right? So there's that issue as well. So I think if there is an ordinance that's considered, that I would like to make sure that we address all utilities, not just water. So I personally don't believe that there's a
Right.
any threat or site even remotely viable in this town for anything of the sort that is being going through the courts and both locally and nationally. But I'd like to make sure we're protected either way.
Yeah, I can see somebody putting together a parcel.
Has the town council referred this matter to you yet?
No.
So, I mean, this is something that.
We started talking about this months ago. It came up, somebody else brought it up. I can't remember who.
You guys can ask us, we can ask you, it can go both ways.
So the thing we did in Blairstown, which we want to be sensitive to here in Flemington, is we put a limit. And I'll give you an example. Comcast put a small data center in the town of Clinton. They took the old TD Bank. It's a 3,400 square foot building. Something like that is.
That's a lot different.
Well, and that's meant to serve the local population.
Right.
So, maybe we want to distinguish, we don't want to forbid
Yes.
Verizon or Comcast from doing something similar here if we need it. But I can take a look, and at the next meeting, we can
Okay.
talk about it, but it would be a very simple, most towns are just. I can't recall if we have a section that's specifically prohibited uses.
It does say data processing center, and I think it was the spirit of what you're describing is what would be allowed, and that's a big difference to what everybody's hemming on over, so we wanna make sure we're clear as to
I'll
what that.
take a
They're
look.
also very noisy.
If we can always prepare an ordinance here and refer it to
Yeah.
council for.
It's part of a small town, and I can see somebody putting together a big enough parcel, tearing down buildings and putting together a parcel, and anything that they do is gonna abut residential neighborhood. And they're very noisy, besides being extremely draining on resources, and, this town's already, we're hitting our last well, we can, we got 2 more to go, that's it, we're done,
Yeah.
Thanks, Jim.
I'll take a look.
Yeah, just, they were looking to put one across the street from where I work, and the town rejected it, because the water use was like 2,000 gallons a minute. And the power was several hundred megawatts of power, it was huge.
crazy.
Okay. Item 3 to council. Susan.
I don't have anything this week.
For HPC, Dennis.
I just had two items. The HPC approved the front steps and railing at 155 Main Street and painting of 119 Main Street. Caitlin sent those out to the planning board. So you have copies of that. That's it for me.
Thanks, Dennis. Environmental Commission, Melissa.
We did meet last week. We did review Jada Global as well as the rescue squad, and I believe Trent sent the reports out and the board has been copied.
Thank you. Item 6, professional reports. Kara was trying to get a red line of the escrow ordinance to us before the meeting. It did not happen, so I will follow up with her when she is back in town. Hopefully get that on for discussion at our next meeting. Kyle, the next 3 things are yours. Master Plan Committee.
I'm 80% done. I will have it to the committee by the beginning of next week. Now I've just switched over the climate change related hazard vulnerability assessment. And obviously that's gonna go to Melissa and the Environmental Commission for their review as well. But I'm just about there.
Second item for you is the Turntable Junction redevelopment area need review.
As soon as the master plan is done, we're moving on to that. But I also have to get, hopefully somebody can put me in touch with the property owner, because I do want to talk to them, because ideally I should get into the buildings to make it a more fit analysis. So I want to reach out to them if somebody can help me with that. Okay, that'd be great.
And the draft from Shade Tree ordinance update. Maybe a chance to look at that.
I have not.
Okay.
We keep pushing this off.
Yeah, so I don't want us to keep pushing it off. So
Yeah, we really need to solidify this.
Has-
Vote on it, send it back to council. I mean, this is the 3rd or 4th time we.
well, we haven't gotten it officially yet from council. It hasn't even been introduced to council yet. So this was an informal discussion before it got to council. If we want to move it along, if any members of the boards have specific objections or things that they had concerns with, then let Shade Tree know, but I didn't see anything that was a problem when I looked at it, and so if council wants to use it, they can have, and then we can do our official, we have to do our review anyway, so we don't have to hold up.
Didn't we just received it?
No, we got a draft copy.
No,
Council.
that's.
Oh, when did you guys?
Yeah. When we just received the final version,
I don't think so.
not, why didn't we put it on the agenda?
I don't think council got it. You
Yeah.
got it.
I know I got a draft of it, so maybe
Yeah,
the,
planning board.
oh, I'm sorry, I'm mixing up my, okay, so we haven't even received it yet. So
But-
that's why it might have not been on the agenda.
No, because the deal was the planning board and Shade Tree were both gonna look at it, review it first before it went to council.
I'm sorry,
It's
we were holding it
we
up.
reviewed, we're waiting for planning board
Okay.
to say, okay, send it to.
Okay, so council isn't holding you up, that's my concern.
No,
No.
that,
What I'm saying right now is send it to council, because I don't wanna wait up. So we're gonna have to come back and do our review anyway.
I can guarantee you council's gonna have some comments.
That's fine, so let's not.
So you might as well get that, so you might as well get that. Well, I think Trent knows, Trent's been involved.
you know, why didn't you, like, he does Shade, this, the environmental commission, I Shade Tree, so why didn't they comments then?
Well, I think he's trying to move it forward in
Okay.
the way that, I thought you guys wanted the planning board then.
Well, Shade Tree,
Yeah.
Shade Tree's last meeting last week was, hey, council, it's on the agenda, council. So
So put it on the council agenda and we'll do our review, please.
that's where you
Let's
guys
forward.
mark up.
Okay, item 7 is approval of minutes from our last meeting on July 7th. Those were circulated, to get a motion on the minutes.
Second,
Any discussion, corrections, or amendments to the minutes? Seeing none, can call the roll.
Mayor Carroll. Mr. Campion,
Yes.
Council Vice President Engelhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Dashna,
Yes.
Ms. Giffen,
Yes.
Mr. Steiner,
Yes.
Mr. Schob,
Yes.
Ms. Swingle,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you. All right, item 8 on our agenda this evening is a resolution. I don't know what number we're up to, but it is adopted, but it was circulated to the board, memorializing the amendments to the historic preservation element. We had the joint meeting beginning of June. It was a clarification on a couple of items on the map. We had the presentation, and so we just need to adopt by resolution the action that we took. So that was circulated to everybody. And I need a motion. Move second. Is there any further discussion on the resolution? Move second, then.
Mayor Carroll.
Yes.
Mr. Campion,
Abstain.
Council Vice President Engelhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Dashna,
Yes.
Ms. Giffen,
yes,
Mr. Schlanger,
Yes.
Mr. Schob,
Yes.
Ms. Swingle,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman,
Yes.
thank you.
That's true. So Mayor pointed out, Mr. Campion voted no on the HPC thing, so he shouldn't have voted, even though he abstained. So let's just report him as not voting. That's good.
Okay. So Mr. Hain, can approve or not approve?
If
Then I only have 8 votes.
Yeah.
it would, you only need 7, we're fine.
So, oh, I thought we needed
That's
9.
good. You can vote.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Item 9 is resolution memorializing action taken on Central Station LLC 37 Line Street. I see Mr. Grunberg's here. All this was we had there's a request from the applicant for an extension to
Start,
Yeah.
Vice Council President and myself are recused from this.
not from this from Central Station.
Yeah.
Oh, this was just a resolution. I didn't think there was any testimony here.
No, but I just wanted the record
Okay,
that we are not participating.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we were just gonna adopt a resolution to memorialize the extension for time to act.
And I have no objection to the resolution. We appreciate Ms. Kaczynski getting it done so fast, and we approve of the form.
All right, so can I get a motion and a second on that?
Motion.
Take a second?
You gotta make a second. Before discussion.
Yeah, so can I get a second?
This is what happens when I can't vote.
Can I get a second? So, thank you, Mark. Now we've got a motion and a second, now we can have discussion. Can I, so you had a question?
My question, I was absent during this part, so,
So
but I
you should-
did, so I should not.
You shouldn't vote if you
Yes.
weren't here for the whole discussion. Any other discussion on the resolution? Okay, call roll please.
Mr. Campion,
Yes.
Mr. Dashna,
Yes.
Ms. Giffen,
yes,
Mr. Schlanger,
Yes.
Mr. Schob,
Yes.
Ms. Swingle,
Yes.
Mr. Hain,
Yes.
Mr. Eckel,
Abstain.
Mr. Papers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item 10 on the agenda, and we will, for the record, note that we can have back our class 1 and 3 members. Footless determination for the Flemington Raritan First Aid Rescue. Flemington Raritan First Aid Rescue Squad building, too many words. 26 State Highway 12, lot 48, lot 2. And we're still here, so
I'm here
Is your all?
I know you're on. Do me a favor, Steve, could you just turn the camera on the Zoom on there, just so that it's seen?
video.
Yeah, turn the video on, not the audio. There you go, okay. So we are in a receipt of a letter from Van Cleef from Mr. Clerico on completeness. This was the second pass on this one. And it seems to be that there's one open item on checklist item number 30, and if perhaps we can speak to that and then.
Sure, and this does involve the variance relief as well, so the mayor and councilwoman can participate in this as well. But
It's just complete, it just completes.
yeah, but it's D variance.
There's a use variance on this one?
Yeah.
What?
It's a D2 variance for expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming use.
I didn't even see that.
I didn't either, we both be.
Okay, well then, I'm just gonna say right now, y'all can go home.
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
Wow, okay.
I think we both be said.
No, and just, we'll see you at the next meeting on August 11th, so.
I won't be here.
We'll see half of you at the next meeting on August 11th.
I already told Caitlin.
So, correct, Mr. Clerico's correspondence narrows it down to essentially two issues. The two issues for completeness purposes are, the updated survey. We just need to give the date of the updated survey and the reference to the plans. There's no change to the plans required, other than putting the updated date on the new survey that we got. So we can easily do that. And, the sign is, the other issue was the signage. Signage is on sheet A3, it's just really small. So maybe it wasn't seen, but the signage is on the plan. So I think we're ready to go for a public hearing.
So. Is there any, is that?
I don't see any signage on the sheet A3 that I have.
Mitch Ardman's here, pointed out.
It's gonna be above the doors. Less than kitty. Yeah, I don't see other PGL.
Did you issue a new set of plans? Because these are dated, I think, May.
Yeah, so this was from the architect,
April 3rd.
yeah.
No revision, so you don't have the latest.
So we don't, you don't have it?
I
He
would
doesn't.
recommend that you get the architect to put like a blow up of the sign, maybe in some of the open space here.
We can easily do that. We're talking about a 4x4 sign.
Okay, so let's call that a temporary waiver on item 30, and before the public hearing, we'll have that. As part of the testimony, we can use that later. Okay, so, then the recommendation from Mr. Clerico is, I'm just gonna read this from the, and there's no other issues in any of the report, right, everything.
I think everything else is good. Those were the last iterations.
So, recommendation is to deem the application complete, granting permanent waivers to checklist items T9, 11A, 11B, 18, temporary waivers for I, 11D, 2336, and the boundary survey, I think we already talked about, and we just talked about temporary waiver for 30 for the signage detail. Am I getting that right?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. All right, can I get a motion? Can I get a second? Any discussion on completeness? Any questions? Online, we're good. Okay, good one.
Mr. Campion,
Yes.
Mr. Dashna,
Yes.
Ms. Giffen,
Yes.
Mr. Stringer,
Yes.
Mr. Schob,
Yes.
Ms. Swingle,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman,
Yes.
Mr. Hain,
Yes.
Mr. Eckel.
Yes.
Thank you.
So you want to try to find a date, is that?
I would like to, that's why I got my.
That's what so I think notice for the 11th would be a challenge.
It would be.
So August 25th is, what else do we have? Nothing else, right?
Nope, not yet.
The only problem with August 25th is I take 1 week vacation a year. And
So we can look into September. It's fine.
September 8th.
Is that our
Is that September 8th?
September 8th,
Yes.
September 8th, yes, or 22.
September 8th?
is that? you know, Kara's not here and Bob's not here, but it's a regular standing meeting, so we're gonna assume yes.
Yes,
Great.
summer's over.
It's the,
So
it's
day
the
after.
day after.
Every day, I know.
Yeah, all right.
So let's say September eighth and we'll answer the owner.
Great, appreciate that. Thank you. We'll do the notice of hearing for that night.
Great, all right. Item 11 on the agenda this evening is a public hearing for Jaja Global LLC 54 State Route 12, Lot 45, Lot 2.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Stephen Gruenberg, on behalf of the applicant, Jaja Global. This is our application for either D2 or D1 variance relief, and it's bifurcated from a site plan application. Mr. Clerico's most recent correspondence has the words that I love to hear, which are that the first order of business is for the board to deem the application complete. So first thing we need to do is to deem our application complete, and then I can give my little introduction and speech.
So according to the letter, and I'm looking at the memo issued by Van Cleef dated July 22nd, 2026. We took action, the action we took, that there was, the incomplete items were checklist item M, which he notes has been addressed. Items 2, 5, 16, and 29, which have to do with site plan and architectural plan, and he is also marking that those were addressed. And that those were the outstanding items and deemed it complete. Is there can I get a motion to deem it complete? Any further discussion?
I think you need a second on that.
Maybe we got a second.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. Sorry.
It's a quiet site.
Mr. Campion,
Yes.
Mr. Dashna,
Yes.
Ms. Giffen,
yes,
Mr. Schlanger,
Yes.
Mr. Schob,
Yes.
Ms. Swingle,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman,
Yes.
Mr. Hain,
Yes.
Mr. Eckel.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. So this is our application for bifurcated D variance relief, and I provided proof of service and publication of the notice of hearing in advance and provided that to Mr. Wilhelm and asked that he confirm that the board has jurisdiction to proceed.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the applicant's the owner of 26 State Highway 12 East, which is block 48, lot 2 in the borough of Flemington. The property is actually located both in the borough of Flemington and the township of Raritan. You know what? I'm on the wrong page. Sorry.
You didn't say anything that wasn't true.
But except it was on the other application. The block and lot numbers are wrong. Sorry about that. Give me one second. Now I got the right document out. 54 State Route 12 and block 45 lot 2 in Flemington Borough and block 53 lot 22 in the township of Raritan. The property located in the borough of Flemington is in the transition commercial zoning district, where the use is not a permitted use. It has historically been used as both a light manufacturing with warehouse component to it. In the township of Raritan, block 53, lot 22, the property is located in the township's I2 industrial manufacturing zoning district, where it is a permitted use. The applicant's tenant WBM International operates a warehousing and distribution facility on the premises, and we are seeking to expand that facility and improve it greatly, both from an aesthetic standpoint and from an operational standpoint, so that it can continue to be a viable business in both the borough of Flemington and the township of Raritan. Essentially, the two additions are a 45,635 square foot addition to the east side of the building and a 42,766 square foot addition to the west side of the building. It's going to improve the site greatly by removing those silos and other unsightly areas on the site. And we're gonna be presenting architectural testimony showing what a great vast improvement to the site it will be. There's an issue whether we're a D2 or a D1. I think in the end, we're probably a D1 use variance, and I think we're gonna concede that the warehouse and distribution use is not a permitted use in the zone. I think historically, the property has been used with a substantial warehouse and distribution component to it, but I think we are a D1 variance, just to clarify that.
Okay.
We also asked for C variance relief, and I think there's a general recommendation by both the board planner and the board engineer that we deal with those issues perhaps on site plan issues as opposed to during the bifurcated use variance issue. And just to give my little spiel about why we bifurcate. We bifurcate in order to present the board with enough information about the intended use so that you can feel comfortable that we met our burden of proof that there are special reasons for granting this type of continued use on this site and expanded use on this site without having to go through the time and expense of the detailed site plan, which can be very, 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 very expensive. So we want to present a good application to the board, showing you what our proposed use is, providing you with expert testimony in support of that use. And then if you agree with us that the use variance relief is appropriate, doesn't mean that we're done. That means that now my client will have to come up with a detailed engineering plan that meets your board professionals review and your further review of the matter. But the use issue would be resolved at that point. We also are going to need to go before the township of Raritan. So, and for the appropriate site plan relief in that jurisdiction. So, this is the first step in this process to try to revitalize this site. And the way it currently looks in the borough. So with that, I have several witnesses, and I don't know, Mr. Willem, if you want to swear them in all at once, or if you want to do them one at a time.
One at a time, is probably best.
Sure. So I'll just introduce them. I have Tariq Sohail, who is the principal of the applicant, Carlos Tovar, who's our architect, Eric Rupnarain, who will be our professional engineer, Connor Hughes is our traffic engineer, and D. Thomas Stearns will be our professional planner. And first, I'd like to call up Mr. Sohail.
I raise your right hand. You swear affirmative the testimony you will give in this matter will be the truth to the best of your ability. Thank you. Please state your name and spell your last name.
Tariq Sohail, last name Sohail.
Thank you.
You can take a seat next to me. Tariq, why don't you introduce yourself and explain your role with Jaja Global LLC?
So my name is Tariq Sohail. I'm the operational manager for the Jaja Global LLC at 54 Route 12, where I see the over everyday operations.
Excuse me, Mr. Sohail, can you move that microphone? Thank you.
And what does your company do at the facility?
So we basically buy products from both domestic and international suppliers. So we bring them in, we store them, we pack, repack them, and then we ship them out. So facility is being used as a warehouse and as a packing, repacking facility, distribution center.
What type of materials are they?
Our primary we know is for Himalayan pink salt. That's the main company is known for. And we do some decor items, some electronic items, some spices and that kind of stuff.
So when these items come in, what form do they come in?
So both we get more finished products ready to go, which we just have to repack them and ship them out. And sometimes we get some raw material which we have to get in a bulk packaging. We pack in smaller packaging, label them and ship them out.
So part of the packaging requires equipment, correct?
Basic machinery, yes. We get this black yes.
And what type of machinery is that?
A filling machine, a sealing machine, putting the labels on them, tape sealing local machineries.
Why don't you describe what you've been doing on the site since 2014 in the existing building?
So as I say, we get the either finish or a raw material. We bring this in, and then we have to make sure the quality control is good on there. We have to do the inventory control on it. We store it in different places. We gotta maintain the inventory. And then as the orders comes in, we have to pack them for different customers as orders are coming in. Then as they get labeled, then we have to stage them to go out, and then we ship them out as they need it.
Are there any limitations of the existing building to your operation?
A lot, especially in the warehouse, the distribution centers, they require high ceilings where you can put like latest racking system. You can use automation machinery to put it in there, so we can have more efficient and safe operation. But currently, this the height and the space doesn't allow us to do that.
So your intention is to further automate the site, right?
Exactly.
What benefit does that provide?
Well, they're gonna make the workflow much more easier. It's gonna make more safe work for us, and we're gonna have proper in and out system. In this kind of business unit, first in, first out, all that stuff requires more space.
And how many employees do you currently have?
So depending how busy we are, we go anywhere from 10 to 15 employees. So right now we have, I think, 12 employees.
And what do you expect, if any, increase in employees as a result of this expansion that we're proposing?
Well, we will not be increasing any employees, but we'll be using a lot more machinery in it. Like, for example, we'll be using a 2 forklift driver because, we don't have a proper.
What?
Like forklift drivers, if you're using a 2 at the moment, we'll have to bring down to 1, but we can do a lot more with the machinery with automation picking on there. Same thing with labeling, we can use a lot more machinery on it. So we will not be going a lot more employees. We're still gonna go 10 to 15 employees range.
So you expect to have the same number of employees, even though you're expanding the size of the building for warehouse and distribution purposes?
Right.
Is this expansion changing the use of the property at all since what's been going on since you've owned it since 2014?
No, we will not be using changing the use of it.
And what are your current hours of operation?
We go from 7:30 to 5:30, one shift. Then we have a couple of people, they work from anywhere from 4:30 to 8:30, depending how busy we are.
And how many days a week is that?
Monday to Friday, but as needed, we do come times on Saturdays.
And do you experience any noise outside of your building as a result of your operation?
Not at all. We don't have anything that can create a noise. Even our forklifts are electric, so nothing else they can create noise.
And with the proposed expansion, do you expect an increase in any noise on the site? Or is everything still going to be essentially operated indoors?
Exactly, everything's gonna be indoor, nothing will be outside.
That's not my stomach. Will you experience an increase in any traffic? I know we have a traffic engineer who's going to testify, but do you expect an increase in traffic at your site?
There will not be any traffic increase in there. Basically, like some of our suppliers, they pick up once a week. So whether they're picking up for 1 pallet or 10 pallets, they're gonna go on the same truck. So there's no reason to have any increase in the traffic.
I have no other questions.
So our practice usually is to start with questions from our professionals, then the board and the members of the public. So board professionals, questions on the testimony given by Mr. Sobel. Nothing from the gym.
I have no questions.
No?
Yeah.
No?
No, thank you.
Jay, do you have anything?
No, I don't have anything. No, it's very helpful.
Questions from members of the board. Let's start with the remote folks first. Anybody? No, I gotta know. Karen,
Did I hear the testimony is saying that there won't be any increase in traffic? I'm a little confused if we're expanding the building and therefore their operation, why there wouldn't be an expansion of traffic. Could they give testimony to that, please?
Well, we're gonna have a traffic expert to present the actual testimony with respect to proposed traffic and the traffic study that was done.
Okay.
Probably better answer that question.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
anybody else online? Melissa, Mike?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Nope. Well,
Yeah, just a clarification, you said automation, was that only at the warehousing activities or also the packaging?
Well, both, because we put the labels on it, we also packing, so both of them requires These days, automations are very economical, need a space and implement it.
And I guess. I'll make a way to track engineer if I need to, but maybe a different way to ask Karen's question was. From an operational perspective, if I heard you correctly, you're not anticipating that you'll expand operations in any way, shape or form, same number of employees, same operating footprint, and. I guess the main expansion would be mostly warehousing.
Well, the expansion will move for whatever the repacking that we do or production that we do, is all section will get bigger. And it'll be more organized, you know, in the warehouse operation, you need a separate in, it's kind of separate out from there. The whole thing has to be properly organized, it can be more efficient. So it will be the same thing what we're doing is to be more better and efficient for the work.
So you're not necessarily exporting more product, you're just
No.
having a more efficient process.
Exactly.
Justin, you
Yeah, with this one.
good? Okay, any members of the public with questions? I see we have a couple of attendees online, we have a couple, I don't know if we have anybody else in the room, please just raise your hand. Okay, not seeing any, thank you.
So I'd like Mr. Tovar to come forward, thank you.
Thank you.
He's gonna show you the pretty pictures.
So let me ask, as he's getting set up, are these part of the original submission or are these from, or is this new?
We'll ask Mr. Tovar, is this new or part of the original submission?
These are no, we submit to you those last week.
Okay, so do we have a digital version of these or no?
You have it right here.
So I would greatly appreciate if we could share screens so that our the board members on Zoom are able to see, so should be able, Steve, if you could to share. But do it or don't do it, but
I think I have to open up the file
Yes, you do.
first, right?
yes.
Usually.
Generally.
Yeah, I'm getting used to this
Yeah.
technology stuff. Want to make sure I have the right file open.
So yeah, the big green share button at the bottom middle.
Yeah, unfortunately now I'm not in that window, so I have to figure out how to get to that. Now I must sign into Adobe after that.
We talked about some tech support there, Steve. I don't know if the back lead, sorry.
Same exact point that we speak. No, that's what I'm trying to say.
It's gonna look like
Jeff, I'm gonna send you a request.
Oh, yes, please. Thank you.
Nicely done. Thank you.
You wouldn't mind, this is gonna sound a little silly, but it X out the tools on the left side, it gives us just a little bit more real estate for the on the screen. Fantastic, thank you.
Is my face still on there?
It doesn't have to be, but.
You're good, you're good.
Am I good?
You're
Is that good?
Yeah,
All
I
right.
just wanna make sure we can hear him on microphone.
So I provided Mr. Tovar's resume in advance. And I have an original here if you wanted to mark it separately.
So I have, we're good, here I have this mark. Just to clarify now, how many exhibits does he have, because I see already marked them?
He'll have another one, A2.
Alright, so we'll mark his CVA 3. And then, Mr. Chairman, I've reviewed the CV of Mr. Tovar. And based on his education, training, experience and knowledge, I'd recommend the board accept him as an architectural engineer without furthering for of course, the board can.
Any objection from the board? Any questions from the board? Okay, accepted as an expert. Thank you.
Mr. Tovar, why don't you orient the board to the site?
Is he sworn in?
Yes,
Yeah.
morning.
I thought it was.
You swear from the testimony in this matter will be the truth to the best of your ability.
Yeah, please state your name, spell your last name,
Carlos Tovar,
spell your last name.
Tovar, Tovar.
Thank you.
And this has been marked exhibit A1?
Yes, I see that there.
Okay. And Mr. Tovar, why don't you orient the board to the site and the exhibit that you prepared?
Okay, here is so what we did with the board was, we have here the sitting conditions, so here on the, that would be the west side, we have the driving range. Here where you can see is Route 12. Here is the east side of the building, and then we have the south side of the building. So in the morning, the sun is gonna go in this way, it's gonna come out the east at 9 o'clock and go around at 12 o'clock, it's gonna be in the back of the building by the silos, and it's gonna go down on the west side by the driving range. What you can see, I wanna show those images. We have the existing building, and then what we are proposing. As you are all familiar with the existing building is all metal panels. They are lack of insulation. Some of them are masonry walls. Again, they are lack of insulation. So what we're proposing to do with the building is expand the building. Right now, we have a total of 100,000 square feet of existing buildings. So we're incrementing additional 80,000. So it's total of 180,000. So what I will do is you're gonna end up with a more sustainable building in the way that now the building is gonna be more it's gonna be insulated. There's gonna be some leak practice, which is gonna be insulation, energy savings. We're gonna have less consumption on the water features with the building. Also, the nicest thing about is we have a lot of impervious of the site because it's a system building. So we are using again existing utilities. So it's a building that is already in a site. So we're not developing in a new site. So we're minimizing the impact on the pervious.
What's gonna happen to those silos?
So we have a silo there actually about 60 feet high, each of the silos. So they are warehousing silos. So they're gonna go away. We're gonna remove them.
So we're gonna be removing those silos.
Correct, they're gonna go away. And that's what I was going to 12 o'clock, almost 1 o'clock, the silo, they shadow to the residential area. So they're gonna be away.
Are there any other extraneous features that exist now that are gonna be removed, which will actually improve the site?
Just the water tank, that's gonna go away too. So that's going away. And again, this pitch building too is gonna go away, the roof, so everything is gonna be more. You're gonna have like a flat building.
So is part of your proposed design and doing this expansion to bring more continuity to the site from an architectural standpoint?
Yes, it is, definitely, it's definitely, yeah, definitely gonna improve the site. As right now, when you drive on and the site actually is being well landscaped. So when you, even the building that we're proposing gonna be 45 feet. When you come down Route 12, you can see all the landscape on the driving range, so actually cover of the building. So I will say that the new building have a better flow through the site.
I think one of the comments of the board's professionals was that the site has to be made solar ready in case that was a potential to put solar on. Is that something that's capable as part of this design?
Definitely will. I was thinking that typically when we do those buildings, we do provisions for future, but there is a requirement that we will agree to have that in the future.
And that this potential design actually encourages that to happen as opposed to the
That's correct, because the flat roof, the field that we have, the white roof.
I've been interrupting you. Why don't you keep going through your?
No, that's perfect. I'm gonna go to the next.
So you want to refer to the other photos?
Yes, I wanna refer to A2, which is more of the flow. So we understand,
If you want to describe that exhibit to the board.
correct, so I wanna describe, so I wanna show this image because actually show the floor. Where you can see the light pink color is the system building. The giant system building.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to get up again.
I think I might be able to do it.
I'm not questioning about it.
Yeah, you're laughing at me, man. There it is.
So you changed it there, I think. Are you guys online seeing the other? Yeah, you gotta, let's stop share. Do it.
Good. That's the one you gave me. I don't have that one.
No, if you open and you go to the next slide, they are two
Oh.
on the same slide.
Is it on the same,
Yeah, it's the same file.
which one? The first one?
The third one, the yellow. There is also now you hit next.
Thanks.
All right, excellent. So what I was saying is that the light color is the system building. There is about 100,000 square feet. So we are adding extension of 42 on the west side, and then here on the bottom we have on the east side a total of 45,000 square feet. So this is how we are changing the shape of the building. That's what we are now insulated. And again, the loading dock area is still on the same location where is now. Well, the site, sorry, I'm gonna put my civil engineering hat for a moment. So you will come from Route 12, you're gonna go on the loading dock area. We have enough space to back up, and then we have the parking lot right on if you wanna look at it on the north side of the building. There we're gonna have on the side, we're gonna have a fire line connection around the perimeter of the building for the fire trucks. This is actually, if you look at the Google map, there is a system path that go around right now the perimeter of the building, so that will be the system fire line that we can go around. So again, the footprint is gonna increase in this area, and then we are having a surface parking lot on the front of the building, now removing the silos. We were cleaning up this portion of the building on the east side, and then also taking the water tank off. It gives us opportunity to provide more parking space. And again, as Tariq was saying, that right now the building height, where you can see on the system building, they are all about 12 feet, 14 feet. Some areas are 20 feet, which they are not really good for storage or warehousing. So now increasing the building height up to 35 clearance, the building is gonna be 42 feet high, and they will have a better opportunity to have a more modern operation and storage.
The existing buildings are in the pink, correct?
Correct.
And is it fair to say that those are rather oddly shaped buildings?
Yeah, they are.
And they're not really contiguous to each other to make them functional?
That's correct.
Is it the intention of this design to actually kind of square off the buildings and make them functional?
That's correct.
The height, does the height conform with the ordinance?
It does. Our maximum is 42 the roof, but then the parapets are 45.
So, and the standard is 45?
Correct.
So we comply.
We comply with the plans.
You have other exhibits that you want to show?
No, that's everything on
Any
my.
references to the photographs that you want to make reference to?
Yes, the one here, this is looking from Route 12, so we are maintaining the Art Deco building. We wanna appoint and repair the system brick and changing the storefront system. Personally, I feel it's a nice looking building if you, after the repairs, the needs.
And then here is actually when you go inside of the property, looking at the loading docks area. And then actually on the back is the south side. The south side, again, what we're proposing, will having the flat building on the south side will have a lot good potential to produce some renewable energy using the solar panels. Not really, just this. I'm open for any questions.
And no other questions.
Okay, so from our board professionals, we'll start with our engineer. Questions?
No questions of the architect.
Mr. Tovar, could you just talk about, so is this gonna be typical construction that we see tilt up concrete panels? Is that?
Yeah, that's the ideally when you do the warehouse will be tilt up panels. And looking at costs, you could be go like up to 8 feet of masonry, and then above going a metal stud and insulated metal panels. So I think that's something that we will look into it. But I think those are the two options. Okay. But the tilt up panel, that's probably the winner.
Okay, and I think I saw the building will be sprinklered. It has to be by building code, correct?
Definitely.
High pile storage, the whole thing.
100%.
Okay, this might not, maybe it's a better question for Mr. Ruthenrain, but why the decision to remove the water storage tank and the fire pump in favor of just a municipal connection? Was that something you guys discussed and this makes the most sense, or what's the rationale there?
I will defer because I will defer to actually the owner or the civil engineer. But what I heard, they have been working now through removal, but I don't know what is.
We'll let Mr. Ruthenrain describe that.
Fair enough. One last question. How married are you to the color of that building?
Listen, I'm an architect and I always feel that when I come to this public meeting, it's about all working together.
Okay.
So I'm open to any suggestion, and I think this is, as an architect, I should do what is right for the community, for my client, and for everybody.
Yeah,
So,
we honestly, we present something that we think that you would like, but if you don't like it, that's certainly something that we want to hear about.
Oh, I mean, I'm not gonna weigh in on that. I was just curious. It's the dark color definitely makes it stand out more.
Right.
So, if we get to the point of site plan, maybe we can talk about a more neutral earth tone color or, something along those lines, but I'm certainly gonna leave it up to the board's discretion. Yeah. I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other, but.
I honestly thought it looked cool, but it's really up to the board. If you didn't like it, that's an aesthetic thing, and that's part of what we want to do is present good aesthetics for the community in this application.
That's all I have.
Questions?
No.
Jay, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, board members who are remote, do me a favor, click on raise hand rather than just unmuting because we've got a shared screen. It's a little easier for me to see if there's a hand. Dennis.
Can you go back to A1? And by the way, I'll go what Jim just said about the color. But the building in the center and the front, when you look at existing versus proposed, that's not part of this, right? Because it looks different in the proposed, but that building is not part of this, correct? The one that's for sale next door?
Yeah, that's not bad.
Okay, it looks different in the proposed picture, very different. Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted to confirm that that's not part of it. And then my only other comment was the color. That's all I have.
Okay.
Thanks, Dennis. Anyone else remote with questions? It's too early to be talking about colors. Folks here.
Just one quick question, the picture to the top right on A1, the dark brown. That's on the roof, exhaust fans, or are they skylights, or?
Those are a mechanical system where a screen. That's a screen. The screens around the mechanical units.
Okay, so for HVAC. or is that fan?
Yeah, HVAC, correct.
Okay. And is that height of the HVAC is the total building height? Or is that in addition?
In addition to that. The mechanical systems, I don't think they're gonna be over 4 feet because it's gonna be by section, so this is not like an office building or a hospital when you have a single HVAC for the whole building, so you're gonna have zones, different zones, so the mechanical buildings, the HVAC are not gonna be large units.
So they're, just making sure that the HVAC and not exhaust fans, their building exhaust fans are pretty loud.
Correct, no, HVAC.
Okay.
The existing buildings, how are you integrating the new into the whole, I guess?
Let me go through this.
And the reason why I ask, because you talked about the height of the building was an issue, so. Well, expanding, demolishing the whole building.
Yeah, correct. So what's gonna happen, the roof has to go be off, all the tunnel and all the system partitions that we have inside, they're gonna be there. Those interior partitions.
So kind of maintain the exterior wall, but.
I'm gonna go back to that.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
So this is the thing.
You're fine. Just hold it first.
Excellent. All these walls, they're gonna be demo. Because we're adding on the exterior, this wall is gonna stay, but everything here will be.
Got it. And then what's the total height from the ground level? Maybe I'll tell you why I'm asking that question. So
42 feet plus the parapet, this other additional 3 feet, so it's 45.
Okay. So I'm good.
Yeah, so the clearance for the operations, I will say 35 feet.
Which is mostly the warehousing routes.
Correct.
I just have a question in terms of, when we're expanding, are we taking away any green space? Just confirming whether or not that, or we're just covering over previous,
We wanna take some green space.
and that's all. green
And this portion, that's green space they're gonna be taking.
I think Mr. Roopdrain can explain that better with the site plan.
That was actually my question. Yeah, so we're taking away green space. Your renderings show plenty of vegetation. It actually looks beautiful around there. And I can tell you the site plan does not reflect what your renderings are showing. So I'm hoping that we can get to this point from what the site plan is going to be presented to us.
Yeah, again, we've bifurcated it, so we're talking use and site plan issues, including landscaping and buffering. Certainly open to suggestions when we get to that site plan aspect of it.
So let me just to fight, again, I don't want to jump to other testimony, but and I want to get into site plan issues. So, but you're seeking relief now for use, and you're also seeking relief for C variance, right? For which piece right now?
Well, I think what we've decided after taking a look at Mr. Clerico and Mr. Kyle's reports were that they suggested that the C variance relief be deferred.
Okay.
To the site plan issues. I mean, the one C variance is the building crosses both municipalities, so it's a zero
setback.
So there's some issues with stormwater and other features for side yard setback, I think is one. But I think we're gonna defer that to site plan. We're not asking for that relief now.
Okay.
If we need it in the future, we can. We really want to get through the use part of it. Okay.
So having the architecture testimony seems a little premature, but because we're not dealing with site plan issues, but it is hard. I understand it to bifurcate the application, and I do appreciate seeing what it could look like as opposed to what it would look like. So thank you for that. I just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. You're getting the color, the massing that you're proposing to meet the use the height that's proposed, if you said 42 with parapet, the screening, that is being driven by operational needs of the height needed to do the warehouse operations. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's correct.
Okay, so the use that you're asking for permission to do is what's going to be the design that may follow, will be driven in large part by this particular use, right? Because you need certain functional height for the warehousing, shelving, and lifts and stuff like that. That's what I'm just making sure I'm understanding that correct.
That's correct.
Okay. Maybe this is a question for your planner then down the road about how would granting this use, which would then result in a building of a certain height, be compared to other adjoining properties, but maybe I'm gonna hold that question with the planner, because that probably gets us into other kinds of questions.
Yeah, it's probably a negative criteria question, I
Yeah.
think is what you're asking, which is probably more of a planner.
Planner question, okay.
But to put my spiel on it, which is that we are a conforming height. So, from a height standpoint, the ordinance would allow us to build the structure this high.
Well, the use isn't permitted at all, and the height is being determined by the use, so let's be careful how we say what's permitted and what's not permitted.
Well, the maximum height for the zone permitted.
The zone is, yes.
45. Well,
Yes.
anything that's built in the zone can be 45 feet.
Right.
That's my point.
Okay.
Maybe a follow-up question, just about the use, because with the expansion, I know you talked about automated packaging equipment, and I'm assuming that you're increasing the footprint of the the packaging equipment to make it automated, but I'm trying to get a sense of, still back to my question before, but like, what percentage or portion, or where is the packaging equipment, like, how is that expanding within this? And so trying to understand, not a warehouse versus, versus actual packaging.
That would be a owner response, but if I know that the whole packaging happened here in the heart of the building, in the center of the building. That's what's really happening. And then the warehousing is more spread out, but all the packaging is happening here in the heart of the building.
I guess my question is, to what extent is the packaging area gonna expand out with the automation?
Should I come up?
Yeah.
So, well, this is gonna be. So there's 2-3 different you're talking about, like now, right now, basically using this space mostly because the height is available. So we do the receiving here and shipping out from there. So the one we're proposing, we have loading docks over here. So we can start doing the receiving in one side, right? Receiving stores over here. Then we allocate a space where we can do the racking on it. But we receive a raw material, and we also see the finished products. So allocation is very important when you put in there. Then we're proposing to have section for like packing. You know, let's say maybe 30,000-40,000 square foot place that we can have. We can start packing different products in there. So we're thinking of back over here will be a good place for packing area. We call it production or packing area. That's one section. But all the space, other space that we're getting, after you pack the stuff over here, then you have to get it ready for shipping. You need a proper space for putting the labels on it. After you put the label on it, the package have to be sorted for the carrier, UPS, FedEx, post office picking it up. You have to put a sorter on. So you need a space to put a sorter on them. After they get sorted, then you gotta have space for staging for them to come pick it up. Some carrier they come only once a week, the product sitting over there or sit there. So we store the stuff in the racks also for them to come in. And for daily pickup, like a post or something else, separate staging for that one. So we need a proper flow for in, for out, and also when the stuff is coming in, we gotta do FIFO, which is first in, first out. So you have a space that we can do proper allocation of that one. So it might look like a lot of space, but when you start doing all those things together, and then you need a lot that much space that you can have, where you can perform everything efficiently and with the safety at the same time.
So maybe that goes back to my previous question a little bit of like trying to understand how the volume won't increase. But with what I'm understanding is in the back section, you're basically doing everything you just described in a very truncated footprint, and you're trying to expand that out and increase the flow, improve the flow of material.
Yeah, but that's the only, you get a little bit of height, I think 29 feet that we have. Front area has like 12 feet, 20 feet, so we basically have the stuff on the floor. We call it bulk storing. And then we put something over here, we have to take it all the way back over here that adds to the logistic, so we can take it back over if we're using it.
And so maybe to have the most direct question, you're not anticipating to increase the volume of product through site, you're just trying to make it.
That's why I said earlier, yeah, we're not gonna be increasing we're just increasing, make our flow more efficient and safe.
Is that because right now you have those two, I'm gonna use a legal term, funky shaped buildings, and by squaring it off, it makes the flow go better?
Yeah, we look at it, this is actually, we tunnel this connects to this building to that building, okay, it's only like 12 feet wide. Useless, all these halls over here, 10 feet, 20 feet, all this height is maybe like 12 feet something over here, not much use out of that one. In Flemington, only one side, 25 plus feet on there, so only functional one. So all this is not really being used for us. Even back over here, 29 is the maximum height that we have. And if you are doing that, all back over here, right, and those are lower too.
You gotta hit that button, I think, again.
Yeah.
Or just use the wall. That's.
Yeah.
Yeah, so quickly, even the one in Raritan, these halls in the back, they have a lower ceiling as well. Those are like very limited, what you can do with them.
That's all, thank you.
Any other questions?
Oh, I'm sorry, while we have the owner up here. Can you just give us an idea, current operations, because you mentioned outside carriers, so you might have UPS, you might have FedEx. Are you gonna have a variety of different vehicle types that will pick up from those companies? So one day it might be a, short tractor trailer, or is it always the same vehicle type?
It's the same with that. It's the same exact vehicle type. As I say, even the trucks when they come in from the post office or from a UPS, they don't leave full. They already have a space in there, so they don't take carrier to send out. They have only one kind of vehicles. And nowadays, people they're getting similar to what these UPS, FedEx, and Amazon using small vehicles and just make a one-day trip once a day to come over here. So the type of vehicle will not change.
Okay, roughly how many trucks do you get in per day?
We have a regular pickup from UPS, FedEx, and the post office.
Daily?
Yeah, that's a daily pickup from them. And then big trailers sometime once, because some company they pick up once a week or once a month.
Okay.
If we work with Home Depot or Walmart, they only do it once a month because they take it to their own distribution center, they ship it out from there. So we don't have a regular pickup from them.
So you don't have a significant number of trucks coming to the site today, and you don't anticipate there to be a significant number of trucks coming and going?
Correct. Now you will see that from the traffic analysis also.
Okay.
They can testify to that.
Perfect.
Okay, so thank you. Want to make sure, any other questions from board members? Okay, any members of the public with questions for the architect? Okay, seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Eric Ricknering.
Want the CDA4, please? Raise your right hand. You swear or affirm the testimony you'll be giving this matter with the truth and best of your ability.
I do.
State your name and spell your last name.
Eric Rupnarain, RUPNARAIN.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a copy of Mr. Rupnarian's.
We just accepted him last month. So.
He's accepted. He's been.
The license still in good standing, Eric?
Yes.
We're good, yeah.
Eric, why don't you give the board the benefit of your review of the site and the plans that we prepared? Is this the exact plan that was prepared and submitted to the board?
Yes, it is.
Has not been colorized or changed in any way?
Correct.
I don't believe we need to mark it separately unless you would like to.
I think that for the resolution would be appropriate. When we look at the five, there is no confusion.
Ask which sheet of this is.
This is sheet number 4 of the set.
Thank you.
And if you could please orient the board to the site and what the.
Before you do that, if you could just on the laptop, stop sharing. You can send Jim if I need to.
I can hit that little.
All right.
square.
That you can handle.
All right, so for board members who are remote, this was the set that was circulated.
So this is sheet number 4 of the plan set. And this is titled variance plan. And in order to orient the board, north is actually to the right. The frontage of the property is Route 12. That's the north side of the property. The south side of the property is Raritan Township. And then to the west of us, we have the golf course, which is to the top of the sheet. And then to the south or to the bottom of us is the east. And the little notch along Route 12, that's not part of us. I think there was a question previously regarding that existing building that's for sale. That's located within that open area of the property. The area that's shown right now in the checkered hatch, that's the footprint of the existing building. The solid dashed line that runs through approximately the middle of the back part of the property, that's the boundary line between the township of Raritan, which is located to the south, and the borough of Flemington, which is located to the north of the heavy dashed line. The shaded area, the darker shaded area, those are the two proposed additions that Carlos spoke about earlier. One addition is going to be located to the west, and that's about 4,200 square feet. The second addition is partly located within Raritan Township. It's located in that northeasterly corner of the existing building, and that addition is about 45,000 square feet. In total, the gross square footage of the combined existing and proposed addition is going to be about 185,000 square feet. In addition to that, what this plan shows is to the west, there's an existing unnamed tributary, I believe it's at the Walnut Brook, that's located along that westerly property line. In addition to that tributary, there's also an existing FEMA flood hazard area that exists on this property. The FEMA flood hazard area is shown on this map, and it is this dashed line, and it's labeled on the property. That is a mapped and studied stream by FEMA. In addition to that, NJDEP also has their own flood hazard area requirements, which this stream is not a studied stream by DEP. Therefore, the requirement is that we need to add 3 feet to the elevation of the FEMA flood hazard area to determine the regulatory area that would be under NJDEP's control and jurisdiction. What I have done is this dashed thinner solid line that extends through the westerly portion and then diagonally in a northeasterly direction. That is where the NJDEP regulated area limits are on the property. In addition to that, what we anticipate, this particular project is going to increase the amount of impervious surface on site. It'll decrease the amount of traffic surface. However, because of the aggregate addition to the building, it will increase the amount of impervious surface on site, and it will be subject to stormwater control, not only under the borough's ordinance, but under NJDEP's jurisdiction. We anticipate expanding or constructing a new stormwater management basin to the west of the property, and that basin is going to be located at the lowest part of the property, which is in Raritan Township. And that's essentially is the orientation of the property. In addition to those improvements, we have their train tracks along this easterly part of the property. There's existing overhead, metal structures. The applicant is proposing to remove all of those existing train facilities, tracks, metal. The gravel area in this section of the property along that easterly portion is going to be removed, and that area is going to be revegetated. The way the site currently functions, we have a small parking area that's located directly off of Route 12. That's located in the northeasterly corner of the property. The applicant is not proposing any changes to that parking area. That parking area exists and it'll continue to exist. The only thing we may do in that area is to restrict the parking lot. Presently, traffic enters the site through 2 driveways. The parking lot, that northwesterly parking area, has its own separate ingress and egress onto Route 12. We're not anticipating any changes to that access point. Secondly, the main access to the property or to the warehousing and distribution area, that is provided by a two-way driveway that's located in the northeasterly corner of the property on Route 12. Again, we're not proposing any change to the ingress egress. Using the standard AASHTO templates for a wheelbase 62, 65 tractor trailer, trucks can enter and exit the property without any issues. One of the sheets within the plan set shows how trucks can turn into and out of the property. What we are proposing is a slight modification to the existing building. On the northwesterly corner of the building, there's a section of the building that's located within the FEMA flood hazard area. That portion of the building is hatched, and that's one section of the building that the applicant is going to remove. The primary driver for that is to just get the building out of the FEMA regulatory area. It will have an effect on flood insurance if we don't have the building within a mapped FEMA flood hazard area. In addition to that, the current office for operations is located in, I guess, partly within the Raritan Township and Flemington Borough portions of the building. The office of the new expanded facility is going to be located completely within the borough of Flemington. That's going to be moved towards the front of the building. And finally, in terms of the site improvements, that section of the building that's going to be removed, there are currently 3 loading zones or loading docks in that area for smaller trucks. The loading docks are going to remain, but they're going to be pulled further back into the property at that new northerly wall that's going to be constructed. Our current proposal complies with the borough's requirement for maximum lot coverage. We're compliant with the total floor area that's permitted both within the township and within the borough.
So with respect to the parking variances that were identified, we're gonna, I think we're proposing 65 spaces, and it's a question whether 69 is required under not the borough's ordinances, but because the borough doesn't regulate that. We're gonna defer that 4 space issue to site plan if we get that far, correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Clerico's correspondence has a big question that he wanted answers to was on stormwater. And the applicant should present testimony indicating whether the bottom elevation of the proposed SMW EMP is above the FEMA flood hazard elevation, and whether the stormwater management can be constructed within the NJDEP designated flood hazard area, and the depicted size of the basin will comply with the borough's stormwater ordinance. You provide testimony with respect to that issue.
Certainly. So NJDEP has specific regulations that governs how stormwater management basins that are located within a flood hazard area has to be designed. Part of the model or the modeling that we will have to provide, should we get to this point during site plan approval, is to show how does the basin function. Typical detention basin, stormwater is collected, directed into the basin. There's a control structure that regulates the rate at which water discharges out of the pond. With those types of basin, normally there's nothing on the downstream side of the discharge that could constrain or reduce the amount of water that's discharged from the basin. It's generally an open discharge. Our particular project, the DEP regulations require that when you model the basin, we have to look at how the basin will discharge and function when the stream is flooding. So essentially you would have to have a model of the stream that shows, okay, in a flooding condition, water within the stream or within the floodplain, what elevation that is and how the basin operates relative to those conditions. The state also has specific requirements that regulates the elevation of the spillway. The basin is going to have to be constructed in such a way that floodwaters cannot enter the basin. Under normal operating conditions, the discharge pipe, they're essentially backflow or check valves that you could utilize. One brand that we've used in the past is Tideflex. And it's essentially a valve that operates almost like a dovetail, that if the site is flooding, the valve closes to prevent water from getting into the basin. And those types of valves requires very little elevation head in order to open. That's one mechanism to actually isolate the basin from the flooding conditions. In addition to that, any spillway would have to meet the requirement that under normal NJDEP flooding conditions, we do not have floodwaters entering the basin and occupying that space that would otherwise be used for flood control, or not flood control, but for stormwater management. The analysis is fairly exhaustive that we will have to go through in order to document how the basin functions, not only during normal localized rainfall event, but what happens when we actually do have a flood occurring along the stream. Will the basin continue to function? And the basin has to function under all of those conditions.
So, for those non-engineers, of us, including lawyers who didn't quite get all of that, is it fair to say that the DEP will ultimately make a determination whether that type of basin and stormwater management can take place in that area?
Yes.
And it will also be the subject of Mr. Clerico's review as well on behalf of the borough, right?
Yes.
And it will be an expensive and extensive endeavor to get that permitting and review in place, correct?
Correct.
Are you confident from an engineering standpoint that we can do it?
Yes. I've read through the regulations that DEP currently has published within the flood hazard area rules, and I believe that we could address them adequately. It's a fairly exhaustive model that's going to have to be developed, even though this is a stream that's been studied by FEMA. Our model is also, we are also going to have to provide a model that essentially reanalyze portions of the stream, not necessarily the entire stream, because our model has to relate how the basin discharge as the floodwaters are rising on the property.
And Raritan Township actually is gonna get a crack at it too, because that's located in the township as well.
Correct.
Mr. Clerico asked, a question regarding fire flow requirements for the expansion of the type of use and input from the Borough Water Department. That the current utility infrastructure can accommodate that demand. Do you have an opinion with respect to that?
So the applicant has contacted Aquatech. They're a sprinkler design company, and they've looked at the infrastructure that's available and the existing water main sizes. And based on information that we've received from them, that what the applicant will have to do as part of any sprinkler design, a fire pump is going to be required. And the primary intent of a fire pump is just to boost the pressure in the system so that you can adequately supply water to the existing and the expanded building. It's their opinion based on their analysis, and I believe they've also had conversations with the borough that adequate conveyance capacity exists within the pipes and adequate flow is available to the property. That elimination of the current water tank, which is this gray shaded circular area in that northeasterly corner of the property, that we can eliminate that storage tank and then replace it with the normal fire pumps that are generally used in sprinkler systems in other buildings.
And that would all be needed to be documented through site plan approval as well, correct?
Yes.
And that goes to answer Mr. Kyle's question, I believe, about why are we removing those items, but can you elaborate on that if need be?
So in the new design or in the expanded design, we don't need the on-site storage. Essentially, the water supply from the borough will come into the building. It's going to be boosted mechanically. And that eliminates the need for any of the on-site storage.
If I could interrupt you and ask, was the additional parking the driver for removing that tank and pump? I mean, is it not usable?
I do not know the condition of the tank and the pump that's there, so I don't have any information regarding that. But clearly, as the board can see, the parking lot expansion is located within that area. But as Tariq indicated previously, right now they have about 10 to 15 employees. We don't anticipate any meaningful increase in the employee count, and we're providing 65 parking spaces. So yes, clearly the parking is within that area, but it wasn't really a driver for removal of the system. We don't need it.
Okay.
That comment by Mr. Clerico was about a landscape plan, but he deferred to Mr. Powell, so I don't know if we're gonna hear testimony with respect to that or.
I mean, it's a site plan issue, you know, obviously, if we get to that point, we're gonna talk about landscaping, but the one question I did have in my review. So I noticed there's a 50-foot easement to JCP&L on the east side. What can you tell us about that easement, and does that preclude you from putting vegetation and landscape screening in that area? Can you answer that?
Well,
Okay, we don't defer to Mr. Stearns, that's fine, that's one question that I did have. You can answer that.
Can you answer it if you have?
So I know JCPenney does permit a limited amount of landscaping. They have restrictions on how tall or how high the trees, what type of vegetation you can put within those area. Specifically, I have not looked at their rules, nor have I spoken to anyone from JCPenney. Mr. Stearns might have more information that he can provide the board.
Well, so what's the purpose of these? What's in it? Do they have facilities in that easement today, or?
There's a power line.
You can't testify yet, you haven't been sworn in.
Yeah, we'll get you, Tom, don't.
Yes, there are existing electrical facilities within the easement.
That serve this property or serve other properties?
I'm not quite sure if it provides service to us or not.
Okay, well, I'm just curious if it's a transmission line that, you know, goes down into Raritan Township, that's one thing, but if it's electrical lines that go to this building to serve this building, that's something completely different. So that's possibly an easement that could be extinguished in favor of a connection somewhere else on the property that would allow us then to
buffer,
put some
I
screening.
can add to it, I can add quickly, if you.
But these are also site plan issues.
But yes and no, this goes to negative criteria on the use, you know, particularly as I pointed out in my memo, like I went into, was it Clark's Landing? Can't remember what the name of the development is, but it's pretty visible. So I'm just curious if, you know, that easement is gonna preclude any landscape screening on that side of the building. It really goes to the use variance, honestly.
So best of my knowledge, what I can say, I know Bemis, they used to have require a lot of electricity.
Right.
So they have a big transformers next to the silos and everything, which we are there, we don't use them. So what we came to know that, especially for there for the Bemis, so that's when all the easement came in for that one. So all the stuff that coming in from the electricity, that was all for Bemis. Because you remember they had big operations over there, which we don't use. So they
That
cannot
makes
be on the
sense. Okay, so then there could be a possibility that the easement is extinguished and that could be an area for landscape.
And that's something that for site plan approval, we can explore in terms of seeing whether the easement can be extinguished and or what the parameters of any landscaping would be in that area.
Okay, perfect.
Your mother just. Job.
Let me see if I got anything else for him. I think we're good.
So, other questions from the board's professionals?
Yeah, I have a few. The existing stormwater BMP,
Can you slide the mic down?
Oh, I'm sorry.
what type is that? Is that just a standard extended detention basin?
Correct.
Okay, so DEP is not gonna let you expand that to do quantity management or anything like that with it. It's not GI certified for any purpose anymore. So also, under their GI requirements, they want small basins spread out around
The property.
There's one big basin that you're proposing at the low point is probably not gonna fly with them either. There's something to consider when, you know, you're designing this. Also, have you considered the zero net fill requirement of the Flood Hazard Control Act?
I've looked at it, and there are certain parts of and essentially what the 0% net fill is, if we occupy a cubic yard of storage within the floodplain, we have to create a cubic yard of storage somewhere else. So parts of it is going to be looking at the existing property once we get into that point and see where we can create additional storage. So for instance, on that westerly side of the property, it may require excavating to create storage there because the building expansion is going to occupy some flood volumes in that area. Similarly, along the southerly part of the property that's not quote unquote in that regulated area, we can create flood storage along different parts of the property to get to 0% net fill. But that is a requirement, otherwise an NJDEP flood hazard area will not be issued. but I have looked at.
Yeah, okay. Um. Have you considered using porous pavement for the new parking areas?
So we've thought about the different green infrastructure with acknowledging that NJDEP limits all of these essentially any BMP to no more than 2.5 acres, regardless. If we get beyond the use variance stage, we're gonna go through and look at all of those BMPs. Essentially, I need to get soil testing done on the property to figure out if those are gonna work, because all of the infiltration systems require permeable subsurface.
Yeah, that's all my questions.
Do you have anything else? So I note the finished floor elevation is 176.5, and you've got on the north end of the site over 177. Any concerns about that floor elevation? Do you see a scenario where you're gonna have to raise that finished first floor as part of the permitting, or?
So generally with commercial development, you're allowed to dry flood proof a building, and that usually requires having impermeable walls. In our particular case, masonry structures or masonry foundations can be made impermeable. We've done it in the past in Lambertville, and there are specific requirements when you dry flood proof. They have flood proof doors that you can install for ingress egress into the building. That's usually one option. Other option is that they actually have planking systems that you can install in front of any penetrations. That in a flood event for commercial developments, generally you have some notice that you can put the actual planks in place to prevent water from getting into the building.
Okay. We talked about the permitting. So I guess, and we can talk a little bit with the traffic engineer about this too, but my read is that we don't need 65 parking spaces on this site to serve this use. Even if they added 10 more employees, we're still talking about, 25 or 30 spaces. Part of that parking lot that's in the northwest corner along Route 12 is actually in the floodway. So I think if we get to the point of site plan approval on this, my view is we should eliminate any parking that's not really necessary, and maybe we can eliminate some in the floodway. Maybe we can pull some of it away from the eastern property line and push that in a little farther. But generally, when we can reduce it, I think we've tried to do that if it serves that need.
That's certainly something that site plan would be willing to discuss, and that's why I kind of wanted to defer those quote variances in order to be able to have a further dialogue on those issues.
Yeah, and I question, we don't have a standard for warehouse, so we can't really require a variance from a standard we don't have. So I think it's more just about right sizing the parking to the use if we get to that point, so. And I think it looks like almost everybody's agreeing, so if we get to that stage, just maybe keep that in mind.
Okay.
That was it for me.
Jay, do you have any questions for Eric?
Yeah, I just had one I wanted to clarify. I believe I heard Eric say that the westerly driveway serves 3 loading docks that are going to be brought further into the site and only used for smaller trucks. Is that correct?
And right now, that's the way the loading area is set up. Because the typical larger tractor trailers, they'll extend too close to the roadway. So I believe that generally serves like the larger box trucks, not necessarily tractor trailers. The current loading docks or the tractor trailer loading and unloading for the facility, it occurs within the Raritan Township section of the building.
Okay, yeah, that was exactly my concern with that westerly side. There wasn't a tractor trailer template showing how that would work, and it looks like it's too close to the highway. So I'm just going to bookmark that for a potential condition or something.
Understood.
Do you have any questions? Board members remote, questions for the engineer in the testimony? No one's jumping in. Start with
Mark. Just a quick question on kind of stormwater, even We're not there yet. So all the roof downspouts and everything, it's gonna be directed to that basin, or will be directed to the basin? Is there curbing around the site so that water's not gonna be running from this warehouse onto adjacent properties? Or is it pitched so that it directs it, or?
So there will be curbing on the property, along the new parking lot or along the edge of the parking area. The only place where we currently do not have curbing is within, there's a section, I believe, within the existing parking lot that's in that northeasterly corner, that essentially the current gravel access to the the westerly part of the building, there's an open area approximately there that currently essentially is curbing, but it's fully depressed curb that allows traffic to get into the back of the building. But all of the new parking area that's not adjacent to the building will have curbing.
And then, I guess the roof leaders off the warehouse is gonna be directed somewhere, or is it just onto the ground and then where it will go or goes?
So we're gonna have to control it as part of that more comprehensive stormwater management plan. We're limited as to how much water I can have going into, let's say, a bioretention basin. I can't have more than 2.5 acres of impervious surface or total area, actually. So we may have to break that out. Part of what we could do is, as Mr. Hill suggested or inquired, if porous pavement is an option, we can take parts of the roof and then tie it into the storage layer. So that more detailed stormwater analysis is going to show what parts of the roof is going where and how it's interacting with the parking area.
Okay.
But again, just if I could follow up then, so the testimony was that there's a lot of work to be done on the stormwater and the flood hazard area. I think acknowledging all of that, that one of the solutions you're suggesting is literally just, make the building more resilient to the flood and throw up some floodgates and maybe, give each employee a couple of sandbags. Like I'm asking, what's the real viability of this extensive of an expansion into flood hazard area, into the floodway? Like you're putting a lot into this potential analysis. I'm just worried. Can you talk some more about like what realistically could happen on these sites given the concerns raised by our planner and by our engineer?
So no improvements are proposed within the floodway. We're not allowed to build anything within the floodway, but currently the existing building or the proposed addition will not extend into the floodway. It all extends, essentially will be located within what would be considered the flood fringe, which that's the area we're allowed to develop or we're allowed to build with certain permits and addressing certain requirements that they would have. The issue regarding dry flood proofing is essentially it's a FEMA requirement that because of the value of the improvements on a commercial project, on a commercial development, FEMA allows you to dry flood proof a building once your improvement cost goes above 50% of whatever the existing value of the structure is. And FEMA does have those requirements where the penetrations can be made using flood-proof doors. Doors that essentially, once you close them, they're watertight. That's one option. The other option are those planking systems, which they're tied permanently to the building. They're affixed to the building, and they're stacked. Stacked planks, and they have gaskets in between. So once they're put in place and they're locked, floodwaters cannot penetrate the joints.
So I think the question might be, what is your confidence level that we will be able to secure the necessary permits from the DEP and the board of the township for being able to do this expansion within these areas?
I've looked at the regs. I've also looked at the flood damage prevention ordinance the town has, and I believe we can adequately address everything to obtain all of the necessary permits.
In order to do all of that, permitting requires lots of testing, lots of design, which Unfortunately for my client, but maybe fortunately for you, costs a whole lot of money, correct?
Yes,
And I'm raising the question because the expansion of the use. That's being talked about here, the fact that the unbuilt on parts of the site or the parking infrastructure, we'll leave the details of that to a little bit later. But one of the parking pieces is certainly in that, the upper right of your drawing, it's the northwest corner of the parcel. Clearly, you can't do much of anything else over in that spot because of where it's located. My concern here is that you're running out of real estate to put any sort of stormwater and flood infrastructure here between building and where you just literally cannot build anything in the hazard area. And this is why I'm asking the question. If that makes sense.
But Eric, there's no part of the building that's in the 100-year FEMA delineated floodplain, correct?
no, that's, again, the part of the building that currently is located within the FEMA floodplain is that northwesterly corner that's hatched in where the current loading docks are. That's the section that we're taking out.
Yeah, but there's a significant portion that's in the NJDEP regulated flood hazard area when you add the 3 feet to the 100-year, which they now require.
Correct.
And that will require permitting from the DEP, which is capable of being received, correct?
Yes.
I'm gonna hold the rest of it for now, but any other board members with questions?
One clarification, maybe the dotted line that runs diagonally through the middle of the building, does that represent the NJB line? Like everything to the west of that would be considered NJB flood area?
Yes.
Right, just one other one, I know it's back on the stormwater one though, but the new basin, if that got approved, the pipe that's there, I guess that's the overflow, like where would that go? Or was something else?
So some of the existing drainage is going to get reconfigured in order to direct stormwater into the new basin. I presume you're referring to this pipe?
Like on the right side, it's just, there's like a square block that says pipe and then head wall.
Okay, that portion.
I don't know if that was an overflow, that if the basin got high, it directs it somewhere else.
Now, so the outlet structure for the existing pond is located in the southwesterly corner at approximately there, and the pipe leading from that portion in that southwesterly direction, that's the discharge point from the discharge pipe from the basin. The pipe in that northerly corner of the basin, that actually, the way the site currently is graded, there is a swale at the back part of the property that I'm not having access to any of the original design. I'm not quite sure why they did what they did, but that pipe actually has a head wall on one end that collects water from the uphill side and then takes it into the basin.
Gotcha, okay.
Anything else for Mr. Ruben?
Yeah, I'm not seeing any more questions, so it is 8:50. We usually take a break around 9, so since we're between witnesses, I think it might be good. Oh, sorry, any members of the public with questions? Right, I apologize. Okay, seeing none, we'll take a pause here and we'll come back in 5 minutes with our next resuming recording. We're going to come back into session. If you wouldn't mind, Caitlin, calling the roll.
Mr. Campion,
I think we lost my
Mr. Dashna,
here.
Ms. Giffen,
Here.
Mr. Schlanger,
Here.
Mr. Schob,
Here.
Ms. Swingle,
Here.
Ms. Weitzman, here, Mr. Hain,
Here.
Mr. Eckel,
Here.
Mr. Papers.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, and our professionals are all here as well. Fantastic. So we are up for next witness, yes?
Yes, I have Mr. Hughes here and the CV has been submitted in advance.
What is exhibit A6? again, I would recommend that the board dispense with the qualification questions as his CV clearly demonstrates his education, training, experience, and knowledge that he is a traffic engineer.
Any objection from the board? Okay.
Thank you.
And I guess he needs to be sworn.
You swear or affirm that the testimony given this matter will be true to the best of your abilities.
Yes, I do.
Say your name, spell your last name.
Connor Hughes, Hughes.
Mr. Hughes, you are a traffic engineer expert, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Would you explain to the board what a traffic engineer expert does briefly?
Certainly. So in my line of work, essentially, we look at individual sites and the traffic impacts associated with the potential developments on those sites. So we'll look at the existing conditions, analyze what's going on currently, identify if there's any existing issues that might need to be dealt with, and then project new traffic on top of those existing numbers based on the development scope. Rerun our analysis with those added numbers to make sure that the additional volume doesn't contribute to any additional issues or create any significant impacts. And then we also generally review the site circulation, access, parking standards, all those aspects, and compile formal traffic impact studies that summarize the findings and conclusions based on those analyses.
Did you do that analysis with respect to this site and proposed project?
Yes, we did a traffic impact study, which was submitted and dated February 20th, 2026.
Why don't you take the board through your review and analysis as part of that traffic study?
Certainly. So again, as part of that study, the first aspect is looking at the existing conditions. So in this case, we prepared traffic counts, particularly at the site driveway locations along Route 12. So we conducted an analysis of those traffic volumes during the weekday morning and weekday afternoon peak hours. Particularly, we looked at the 7 to 9 a.m. and then the 4 to 6:30 p.m. time period. This aligns with the typical peak period, not only with the use itself, but also the adjacent roadway peak hours in terms of those rush hour volumes. So what we do is we do a traffic count during those timeframes by studying the volumes coming in and out of the driveway in this case, and then we isolate the highest single hour of traffic volumes during that time period to use as the basis for our analysis to make sure that it's the most conservative. So once we have those baseline numbers, then we need to project our future conditions. In this case, the first step is looking at the future conditions without the improvements, which we call our no-build conditions. To establish these, we'll do one of two things. First is establishing a background growth rate to account for any developments, background population growth, things like that. These rates are published by the New Jersey Department of Transportation based on the speed limits and the roadway classifications and the area of the state that the site is located in. So based on those classifications, we applied a 1% growth rate for 2 years. And then we also look at adjacent developments, meaning other developments that have either been approved or constructed or in the process of being constructed that would contribute a different additional traffic volume to the study intersection. So in this case, there was one additional development located across the street, the Liberty Village redevelopment. We did obtain the traffic study for that development and incorporated those volumes into those background growths separately. And then we need to project the future conditions with the additional site traffic associated with this proposed development. As you heard previously from the testimony from our applicant, it's a bit unique in the sense that although there's a physical building expansion being proposed, the operations themselves, the number of employees, the number of trucks coming to and from the site aren't anticipated to materially change at all. So in the sense of adding traffic, there's really none to be added or no significant amount to be added in this case, but we did go through the exercise just in case to make sure that even if for some reason that additional number came to fruition, that everything would still work properly. So we did this a couple of ways. Since we had the opportunity to count the existing volumes in and out of the site and that operator is remaining, we're able to establish a localized trip generation specific to this user. And then we also looked at the more standard ITE rates, the Institute of Transportation Engineers. They establish trip rates for different land uses. based on empirical counts that they've conducted at similar facilities. So in this case, we looked at a warehousing use and the comparison between what we counted at the site, which and then prorated based on the additional building area being added, and the comparison from that to the ITE rates showed us that the ITE numbers were actually higher than the local data that we collected. So we did conservatively use those ITE numbers for our analysis. And just to give you those numbers, for instance, the site-specific data that we calculated for the morning peak hour would result in 10 trips during the AM peak hour, whereas 5 were counted under existing conditions, and then 24 trips during the PM peak hour, whereas 13 were counted under current conditions. And then looking at the ITE numbers, they would project 32 trips during the morning peak hour. This is based on the total of the expanded building area. And then during the PM peak hour, a total of 40 peak hour trips. So this is during that single highest hour of traffic for the site. And to put this into some perspective, New Jersey DOT considers a significant increase of 100 new peak hour trips. So we're less than half of that threshold, even based on those conservative ITE numbers. And then ITE also has a suggested threshold of 50 peak hour trips where they consider or where they recommend conducting a full traffic study, which with those ITE numbers were below that threshold as well, but we still again went through the exercise to make sure that all those bases were being covered. And essentially what this amounts to is that this level of trip generation, even if it were to amount to that ITE number, doesn't result in a perceptible or significant difference in the operating conditions that are happening on the roads today. You wouldn't see any noticeable additional queuing or congestion or anything of that nature. And then what we do to determine the operational conditions of the intersections is look at the levels of service. Essentially, this is a letter scale A to F, which tells us level of service A, meaning the intersection is operating at its best efficiency. Level of service F would mean that it's operating over its design capacity. And what we found is that under the proposed conditions with the additional trips added from those ITE calculations, the driveways would operate at a level of service C or better, which is very typical of New Jersey, very typical of volumes of these magnitudes, and would not result in any excessive queuing at the driveways. In fact, the calculated queue was 1 car or less coming out of the site. So again, based on those levels of service numbers, based on the traffic volumes that we're talking about, not only through ITE, but also the ones that we observed. Again, we don't anticipate any true significant impacts from the traffic at this site. And then as far as the site access and circulation and parking, our site engineer kind of walked you through that a little bit. But again, the driveways that are existing on Route 12 are proposed to remain. Route 12 being a state highway, we would ultimately need to get approval from the New Jersey DOT. In this case, it would be a letter of no interest because there's no modifications proposed and we're less than that 100 trip threshold during the peak hour. So that's something that we would pursue if and when we get to the site plan section of the approvals. In terms of the parking, there's been some discussions on those as well. Again, we feel that the 65 proposed spaces are going to be more than sufficient to support the demands experienced for the current user. Even if in the way future another user came in that needed more, there's still plenty of parking there to support this use. And that's backed up by the ITE also supports that with their parking standards that they studied, where they recommend an average of 69 spaces. So we're slightly underneath that number, but it's generally consistent with the data that's been collected across their 30 or so study sites that are similar in design. So just with all that, again, little to no increase in the trips generated to and from the site will not result in any perceptible impacts to the driveway itself or the adjacent roadways. The parking we feel is more than sufficient, and the site can operate and circulate in a safe and efficient manner.
So before you continue, I just want for the minutes to reflect that Mr. Campion did get on while you were
Thank you.
beginning of your testimony, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Troutman, the board's traffic expert reviewed your analysis, your methodology, and your counts, and your assumptions, and your use of the most conservative standards, and, found no question with respect to the way you did things in your ultimate conclusion, correct?
That's correct.
And his only, substantive comment with respect to the study was to obtain that letter of no interest from the DOT, which we could do as part of site plan approval, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And he made some recommendations as to the site plan issues, which, you know, we would defer to site plan, but I think they're all good suggestions with the stop sign, with the stop bar and double yellow center line and all of those comments, correct?
Yes.
And the truck turning movement plan, he already indicated as part of site plan would be required.
Yes, that's correct.
I have no other questions for Mr. Hughes.
Jay, we'll start with you.
Yes, I summarized all my comments in my memo. I agree with Mr. Grunberg's summary of that, and just to report to the board that all the calculations are accurate. I think the trip generation analysis and the level of service calculations on Route 12, it put a good test on to make sure there's adequate gaps, adequate sight distance, safe operations, the signing and striping comments. And I do want to look at that westerly area and just make sure we don't get big tractor trailers in there. I guess the only thing that gave me pause, and it's probably more for the operator, is when you go out there now, there's signs in front of the property that say they're trying to lease space and the westerly driveways chained off. So it just didn't seem like the property was really being used as much as it could under existing conditions. But that there might be an explanation for that. So that's really the only thing I have.
Board members with questions? Anyone remote? Dennis, please.
Yeah, I'm just confused about the testimony earlier about the number of trucks coming in. You know, you're doubling the size. I know it's going to be a lot more efficient with automation. I'm having trouble understanding how, when you have more space, how you're not going to have more trucks coming in to pick up the goods or drop off stuff.
Can I rephrase the question maybe a little bit differently, which is, we didn't use the numbers that, the owner applicant designated as the.
I understand that, but there was testimony that there were not going to be more trucks come in. So I understand his analysis, but I was waiting, and I think Karen asked the question earlier, and we were told to wait for this, but I'm trying to understand. The applicant said that there was not going to be more trucks coming in, and I'm just trying to understand the physics of that.
A bit counterintuitive.
Yeah, absolutely. And I absolutely understand, you know, the optics of how to have more building area and not an associated amount of additional traffic. And it's been explained that really the intent of this application is to better serve the existing operations, help the existing operations become more efficient. Could there be a nominal increase in the employees potentially? But our study encompasses that what if scenario by using the more conservative numbers. And for instance, even the ITE data, if we were to look at their truck trip generation based on the total building size with the expansion during the peak hour, it's only a total of 2 trucks coming in and out, which essentially aligns with today. They're looking at maybe 1 a day. The building isn't quite being doubled, but it would make sense that even if the operation were to expand, that would create another truck trip to and from the site. But again, going back to the testimony from our applicant, it's really the intent of the application is to better serve the existing operations.
I still don't understand that. So that, it doesn't make sense. Are we saying that there's gonna be more trucks than we're seeing today?
Is it fair to say that using the Institute of Traffic Engineers figures, notwithstanding whatever we're saying the anticipated truck traffic is, but based upon this use as calculated by the ITE, there's no significant increase or impact upon traffic as part of your analysis?
Yes, that's correct.
So they don't have to take our client's word for it. They take the empirical evidence that's been derived through the ITE.
Right, even the ITE numbers, like I just went through, don't generate a significant number of truck trips. Again, it would be only a handful a day. Even if the numbers were to more reflect those ITE.
Maybe a follow-up question that the example, let's say at some point Bill decides to sell it, make the warehouse space, so then this truck's eaten out to serve the warehouse. How does the ITE number take that into account?
So the land use, the ITE land use that we used is for the typical warehousing. So those truck trips associated with that use was incorporated into our analysis just as a conservative approach.
You said that was 2 trucks per.
During the peak hour, about 2 trucks. So throughout the day, you might have a few more come and go, but during the peak operations, only about 2 trucks.
Does that help?
Yeah, it's just a look at that short.
No, I'm just curious, provided that the warehouse space is being expanded exponentially. And the owner stated earlier that, he's not looking to increase his operations, he's just looking to make them more efficient. I don't understand if the product coming in were to double, you're now gonna have the capacity for it, which is going to increase the amount of traffic coming in. So I don't understand how, I'm in the same ballpark as Dennis, I don't understand how, and I'm sure that like every business, I have my own business, you wanna grow.
Sure.
Now with this increase, you have the ability to grow, make it more efficient, bring in more product, and that's great for the business, but this now becomes a real issue. And the IT numbers are the IT numbers, but the IT numbers are probably not taking into account if his business were to double.
They are in the sense that it accounts for the entire building area with the expansion. So even if this were to
It'd be a Walmart, if this were to be a Walmart distribution center, you would say the same numbers?
yes, it would still be under that same category.
So the upshot is that your study using the ITE numbers takes into consideration that this use isn't what would necessarily be in, but what ITE has determined a warehouse distribution use to be. That might be more intensive than what we're proposing.
Yeah, it essentially takes into account if a warehouse building of this size were to be fully operational.
Did you have a question?
Yes, this might be, I'm sorry if I'm bringing this up a different time or not, but so we're saying in the front section there, that's just for there's delivery. There is a dock up there that will be for just box trucks? Or is that being moved also down to that? So like we still have 2 delivery spots?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay.
So in the northwesterly corner where the westerly driveway would be accessed, that little loading area would be for smaller box trucks.
Okay, so that's still current though, right? So
Yes.
that's still standing? Okay.
Correct. And then the other loading area, which is accessed at the easterly, the main driveway would be for the larger tractor trailers or any larger vehicles.
I also just think that I think the timing is just, we're all a little sensitive because we've had so many warehouses added surrounding us also. So I feel like this equation on top of the 3 other equations that have also come into play, like, I'm not sure if that I'm not sure how else to phrase it or not.
okay.
That's just like something.
Yeah.
So the question I had was around what happens if a truck comes in and you've already got all 3 loading docks filled and the truck needs to go somewhere. Then I have a follow-up question to that, but where would that waiting trailer or truck?
It's a little bit more of an operational question, but from my experience with past warehouses, obviously something like a situation like that really wouldn't occur because it is managed with schedules and the drivers know when, not to say, obviously anything's possible. But in a what if scenario like that, would have to, wait towards the front of the site somewhere there. It could maybe pull past the loading dock until it's available and then do its reverse maneuver in. But I wouldn't anticipate that to be a regular occurrence, if at all.
So here's the follow-up question. So again, in the scenario where at some point maybe the building gets sold and becomes a full warehouse somewhere, and you see like a Walmart distribution center that has 30 doors. It says 3. So that's where the question is coming from in my mind. If it were to change to an operation, okay, maybe the truck's in now or 2 an hour instead of 1. But how does the site, and I don't know if this question, but like how does the site potentially accommodate that?
Yeah, my answer to that is that it can't, and quite simply wouldn't. A user that needs that type of space wouldn't look to rent something or obtain a site that they can't operate out of. So I can't speak to the specific logistics or the operations. But if there were to be another tenant looking to fit their business into it, that would have to be something that they make sure can operate within the confines of what's there.
I would agree with Mr. Hughes. I mean, this is really tailored to this specific user. It's not going to be attractive to a lot of other warehouse distribution type users, not without significant changes to what we see on this sheet. Because I've reviewed a bunch of these for towns, like we have, anywhere from 300,000 to 1,000,000 square feet. You might see 85 loading docks to adequately serve that type of volume. You just couldn't do that.
That's helpful.
Just making sure, I'm not sure if the owner had said, so this is strictly manufacturing warehouse, there's no customer pickup, like wanna buy one of these things or whatever,
It's not open to public though.
okay. Yep.
So, when you were doing your study, did you account for traffic backup due to the train?
No, there's not encountered during our study.
You're aware that the train does run, it does stop, it's not a gate, and traffic absolutely queues.
Yes.
When Christmas train comes through.
Yes, that's right.
Easter, Halloween, and all the rest of it, okay.
Yeah.
So, based on it's not an NJ Transit commuter train, and it's not a freight, it is an occasional freight line, and it is mostly a weekend, touristy kind of train. How would your analysis change considering a 4 or 5 times a day for 20 minutes, not 20 minutes, it's 5 minutes and then 5 minutes of backing up on 12 on a Saturday? Well, which I know Saturday can be something you look at. What would your analysis, how could that change?
Sure. So at least for Saturday, the business isn't open, so it wouldn't have any impact, at least during those timeframes when it likely, at least during the holiday season, be at its busiest. On a regular basis, could there be instances where that backs up to the driveway? Certainly. Again, it's not something that would be chronic, but in the event that it does, the traffic volume in and out of the site is rather minimal, even with the ITE numbers. So we feel that even with the levels of service being calculated without specifically taking that into account, there is the reserve capacity there to account for any instances where they might be waiting longer than usual due to those backups.
Okay, so let me ask you another question then. So let's assume that approvals are granted, site plan happens, the stormwater is dealt with and this place is operational for some period of time, and then the owners sell, and the subsequent user, it's 185,000 square feet, not of a warehouse use, but of a use that's a permitted use in the TC zone, existing use. So pick something like a health center or a higher ed or a club facility or one of the conditional uses like retail or restaurants. How would I'm not asking you on the fly to do math. I'm asking if there was 185,000 square feet of a use like that is permitted in the TC zone, same, less, more, a lot more, what kind of traffic impact would there be if approvals were granted, there was 185,000 square foot facility sitting here with this kind of existing configuration?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't do any specific calculations for other uses. Our scope is just limited to the use that's before us now. But I can tell you that a retail or restaurant use certainly is going to generate more traffic. So that study area might have to be expanded if that was the case. But again, based on what's in front of us, we don't anticipate that type of volume.
I think it's a little difficult to compare those apples and oranges because you're building a warehouse distribution facility with limited parking. So if you're putting in a restaurant through that entire building with the parking requirements, you're gonna have somebody come in with site plan approval and get variance relief in order to accommodate that type of use on that site. It's like building building a circus tent and saying a circus use and then saying I want to put an office in there. You're building a circus, This is building a warehouse distribution facility. To say somebody can convert it readily into another permitted use in the zone without having to factor in all those other site plan issues with variances. This is proposed to be a warehouse distribution facility.
It would be hard to adapt this to anything else. I mean, because at least in my view, if we approve this use variance, come back for site plan, we're gonna trim this parking way down.
Oh, yeah.
And either way, they would have to come back to you for site plan approval for the change of use. So you would have that protection. The other thing too is, if the board does approve this, you're approving a use variance for something specific. If somebody wants to do something else or that's even remotely related, like, say somebody wanted to do this as like a last mile distribution center or something, other than just straight warehouse, they're gonna have to come back to this board for amended use variance. So if the board does approve this, it's gonna be tightly constrained as to what will actually be occurring here and what can happen in the future.
Any other board members with questions? Any members of the public with questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Stearns.
Yes.
Stearns' EV was provided in advance as well.
Yes. We'll mark that in exhibit A7. And again, I'll recommend board acceptance of an expert and professional planner based upon his extensive education, knowledge, and experience.
Any questions from the board? Okay, seeing none.
Raise your hand. You swear from the testimony given this matter will be the truth to the best of your ability? I do. State your name, spell your last name, please. Tom Stearns, Stearns.
Before we get into testimony, I just wanted to remind you that our board rules are usually end by 10. And we're starting in testimony before 9:30, so we're good on our rules, but we may end up having things off on you some more.
I appreciate that. I guess my question is, I think we can get done in a half hour so that we don't have to interrupt his testimony halfway through.
That's why I'm asking you how much testimony he has.
I'll go fast.
I don't know necessarily.
How long?
Go back.
10, 15 minutes for direct?
That's more, I got a lot of stuff here, Jim. I'm cutting a lot of it out.
Well, we don't want you to go fast just for the sake of trying to cram this in. I mean,
The reason I'm raising this question is because I had not looked at the clock until that moment, so the planning testimony is gonna carry a lot of weight here for the use question, so I would like maybe just pause, if you mind, decide how we want to understand.
All right, we agree. I don't want to rush the planning testimony. I want, it's that important. That's what this is all about. And rather than take it piecemeal, I think we'd rather jump on.
Okay, so let's do that. I know we've got a different set of professionals than we normally would, in terms of carrying. Obviously, our next meeting is on, the 11th. Is that possibility for council, and is it a possibility? Because right now we have nothing else on the 11th.
I'm actually worried at that. Works for me. It's amazing.
Yes.
So we're good. Okay, so then it's a regular meeting, so I'm assuming Bob's available.
Here, I have a council meeting that night, but.
Yeah.
That, okay.
Okay, so then let's do this. We are going to carry this matter to our next meeting. We will pick up the testimony August 11th, same time. No notice will be required. And we'll pick it up there. So we have the full testimony in one shot.
Great.
You'll have the whole night, Tom.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank you all.
all right. So just to make sure we have, so this is being carried to the 11th. On the 25th, I don't think we have anything scheduled at the moment. We do have September 8th. We're gonna do a rescue squad. Pencil that in. Jim's gonna have all sorts of stuff ready to go. For us over the next couple of meetings. If folks need to be on vacation, please let us know. Just to make sure we've got a quorum. I don't have any other chair items. Does anybody else have anything? Okay, there were bills circulated. Can I get a motion on the bills?
So moved.
Moved. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any questions on the bills? Everything good? All right, let's call roll.
Mr. Campion,
Yes.
Mr. Dashna.
Yes.
Ms. Giffen,
Yes.
Mr. Schlanger,
Yes.
Mr. Schob,
Yes.
Ms. Swingle,
Yes.
Ms. Weitzman,
Yes.
Mr. Hain,
Yes.
Mr. Eckel.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We do not need to go into executive session. Get a motion to adjourn. Hey, there's a second. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Hey.
Thank you. Have a good day.